This is Overlord's Chem class, and what we're going to be doing right now is worksheet 7.5, and this is the problem letter B, which is probably the toughest problem on the entire worksheet. What I would like to do is walk you through how to balance this equation and walk you through some of the strategies that I use in order to make some of these tougher problems a little bit easier. So let's get started. The very first thing that I would like to do here is to count how many times each element appears on each side of the equation. In other words, I'm looking here at aluminum, and I will see that the aluminum appears here and here. So it really just appears once overall, or really twice, I guess, in the equation. So we're going to write that off on the side. Okay, next I'm going to look at the next element, which is sodium, and that also occurs only twice in the equation. Next we check the oxygen. That occurs 1, 2, 3 times. And finally we have the hydrogen, and that occurs 1, 2, 3, 4 places in our equation. What I've done here now is I've created a list of what order I would really like to solve these problems in, if I'm treating each element as its own separate individual problem, if you will. I want to start with elements that occur the least often and go up to elements that occur the most often. What this does is it helps us to not have to worry so much about the elements that occur many times, and it makes the problems generally easier. So what I've done is I've already actually got this in order of how I'd want to do this. I want to start with aluminum and sodium and then work my way up to hydrogen, which occurs 4 times. So let's start with aluminum, and you'll notice that aluminum, we have 1 aluminum here, and we have 1 over there. That's already balanced, so I don't need to do anything. Okay, so that one is done for now. Okay, next one is the sodium. We have 1 sodium on the left side, the reactant side, and 1 sodium on the product side. That is also already balanced, so we can check that one off. Next, we come to the oxygen. The oxygen occurs 3 times total in this equation. So when I look at this, I see that I have 1 here and 1 here. That makes a total of 2 oxygens. Over on the other side, I have 4 oxygens. So if I kind of scribble this down at the bottom as to how many I have on each side, right now I have 2 oxygens, and I have 4 oxygens on the other side. I need to balance that out so that those are equal, so that I'm conserving my atoms. The thing that I need to do here then is decide, where do I want to put those extras? I need 2 more on this side of the equation. Do I want to put them here or in both places? And what you really want to do here is you would like to look at, well, which ones have I not balanced yet? In this case, I have not balanced hydrogen yet. And so what I'd like to do is I would like to focus on my extra oxygens on a compound that only has those hydrogens in them, since I haven't balanced them yet. The reason for this is that if I put those extra oxygens here, I screw up my sodium amounts, and then I have to go back and rebalance it, and I can get caught in a vicious loop that never seems to end. So I'm going to put all of my extra oxygens right there with the water. So we're going to add another 2 more to that, and it's already an invisible 1, so we're going to actually make this a 3. So now what we have is we have 1 plus 3, or 4 total oxygens. So the oxygens are now balanced, and I haven't screwed up the sodium or aluminum that I already balanced. Okay, next step is to finally look at those hydrogens. How many hydrogens do I have here? Well, on the left side of the equation, I have 1 plus 6. So I have a total of 7, and we'll scribble that down here so that we remember. We have 1 plus 6 on this side of the arrow, and then over on the other side of the arrow, we have 4 plus 2 is only 6. Okay, so you can see that we are now 1 hydrogen short. What we would like to do here is we would like to add just 1 more hydrogen, ideally, to this other side. How can we do that? Well, we don't want to really mess around with putting more hydrogens here because, again, that will mess up all the other elements that we've already balanced, the sodium, the aluminum, and the oxygen. So I noticed that we just have hydrogen here. It would be best to put that extra hydrogen right there. Now, what I can do in order to get just 1 more is I can put in a 1.5, right? That gives me then a total of 4 plus 1.5 times 2 is 3. So I can change what I'd written here now to 4 plus the 3. And now I have the equation balanced in theory with every element, including the hydrogen. Unfortunately, I cannot leave fractional amounts in the coefficient values. So that 1.5 is going to have to go. So we're going to use yet a third trick. And the thing that we're going to do here is if I can take this 1.5 and make it a whole number, I'm good. And the way I can do that is I can double it. If I multiply that by 2, I get a whole number 3. I can do that safely if I multiply everything by 2. So we're going to change these values now. We're going to put in here, let's see, let's use black, I guess now. We're going to change this invisible 1 to a 2. This invisible 1 we're doubling to a 2. This 3 we're going to double out to a 6. And this invisible 1 will double to a 2. And now this 1.5 we're going to double to a 3. So what I've got now is 2, 2, 6, 2, 3, and theoretically I have now balanced all of the elements, and it should balance the equation. So let's double check. Always a good idea to double check. So when I look at my aluminums, I have 2 on this side, and I have just 2 on this side. When I check the sodiums, I have 2, and on the product side, I also have 2. With the oxygens, I have 2 plus another 6 makes 8, and over here I have 2 times 4 is 8. And with the hydrogen, I now have 2 plus 12 is 14, and over here I have 8 plus 6 is 14. So I've successfully balanced this. So again, quick review of what the tricks are. You want to take your elements and first make sure that you figure out how many times each of those elements occurs in a compound in the equation, and go in order of how, starting with the least number up to the most frequent elements. The second thing is it's okay to add fractional amounts as long as it's temporary. And the third thing is that you should focus your putting your elements into the spots where they are going to least affect other elements that you've already balanced. And last, with that fractional amount, if you have a fractional amount when you're done, make sure that you get rid of it and you double, in this case, your amounts. All right, I hope that made that problem a little bit more clear, and that's all. Over and out.